you be able to tell us a little bit about your coaching business and how you got started?
Yes, I've been running my coaching and consulting business now for over 12 years. And the reason I got started was that I was in corporate life, and one of my values, as you just sort of noted, was health and wellness. And when I was working for corporate life, I was getting into a real sort of bad habits in terms of lots of commuting, starting early, getting home late, not really having much of a life. Not really seeing the seasons, and I thought I just can't carry on like this because my stress levels are really high. I was also doing lots of international travel as well. So I decided that I would set up my own coaching and consulting business, not really having much of a clue because I'd had a really strong corporate life up until that point. And I think I spent the first year finding my way. I was very unsure about what I was going to do. So now I've set up sort of multiple streams of income, but I've grown it organically. I do some consulting work with corporates on leadership programs, and I also coach female entrepreneurs to help them grow their businesses, but actually primarily I sort of act as a catalyst for what they want to achieve in their whole life, because that's what I want to do in my life, is have that balance. And then the other area that complements my values around health and wellness is essential oils, which is another part of my business, and I'm sort of slowly incorporating into my main business.
What do you think is the most important thing to build a business in the beginning as fast as possible?
Well, I think nowadays it's much easier to get going quicker than when I started out, because there's so much more technology available, Skype and all the social media, and I didn't have that when I set out. So mine was pretty much, through networking and people that I knew, and that worked really well. I think really to get a fast start, when I look back, the things that really helped me was actually finding a mentor. And also, I think now there are a lot more online programs, so you can learn skills very quickly. But I think the main thing is really to develop your network and to have a very clear message about what you're offering and what your services are and who you work with.
How do you identify your target audience?
Well, I think that the main thing is that you work with people that you resonate with, and that you ensure that the service that you're offering is going to match the audience that you want to work with, because otherwise there's going to be disconnect. So you really need to be in alignment. And often I think we work with, if you're a coach, for example, you tend to work with people who are like you in some way. They might share the same sort of values and interests, but you may be further along the path than they are, so you're sharing your own experience. So there's often sort of underlying interests and values there.
How do you keep up with your own learning and development?
Well, I think that's absolutely essential, because I know that when my business has a growth spurt, it's always after I've done some learning and development. And I've noticed that for some time I was sort of a bit opposed to doing online programs because I quite like the one-to-one contact. But over the last year, I've been doing lots of online programs. I've just completed a 9-month one. I'm just doing a leadership program now. And I've done smaller ones on health and wellness. And it really, really works because it's a flexible way to learn. You don't have to do lots of traveling. You don't have to go and stay in hotels and be away from family. But you've still got that sense of community. And it's just a great way to learn. So, for example, I factor it into my day by doing some stuff in the morning before I start work, or I might do some in the evening. And it's kind of like a pleasure, really, because I enjoy learning and development.
What, for you, have been the main advantages of working for yourself as opposed to working for an employer?
Well, can I give you several?
Yeah, please do.
I think, meeting people who are like-minded. So, like you and I connecting has been really important. And also just having the freedom of choice to use your time as you want to use it. rather than feeling, and the one thing I hated about corporate life was actually having to be there 9 to 5, even though, you know, there were times when I could have done the work in a different way or in my own time. So that's another great advantage. And just the flexibility of making decisions for yourself, you know, deciding what you want to work on, what you want to create, and choosing who you want to work with, because I've done lots of collaborations and work with people. And you know, you get to choose who you have on your team and who you work with. So it's a lot of choice when you work for yourself. Definitely. Highly recommend it. I never came back now.